you take control of your coins.
Yeah.
It's your responsibility. Like, take control of your own life. Be proactive, because it's going to save your butt.
Hey everyone, welcome to a new show of Crypto Tips. My name is Heidi.
And my name is Toby.
And today we have a different style video for you. We're going to talk about life before and after Bitcoin. We're going to talk about renouncement a little bit. We're going to talk about living overseas. And for those of you who don't know, Toby is a big wave surfer. And that's like really cool in itself that we really don't touch on much at all on this channel. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, and also the similarities between big wave surfing and the volatility of the crypto markets and the strange parallels that we are like constantly seeing in that. So we're going to dive into some different types of topics for today's video. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, so let's talk about life before and after Bitcoin, Toby.
Sure.
We'll each give a little synopsis of what our life was like before, after, maybe how we learned about Bitcoin.
Sure.
And what kind of a trajectory it led us to.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was your life? Let's say like 1 or 2 years before Bitcoin.
Okay, well, I pretty much dressed the same. Like my
Breaking Banks t-shirts?
Yeah, I mean, like t-shirt, shorts, like I don't like shoes. Like that's
like
just
shoes.
me. You know, I'm not, I tried so hard never to be putting on like suits and ties. I hated it, you know. And it's just, this is me, you know.
Yeah, that's also surfer lifestyle.
But I figure, you know what, I have this, and that's, you know, what's gonna be more powerful than
your hair.
Yeah, my hair. Thanks, Heidi. The lack of
your
hair
brain.
that I have. But yeah, so
yeah.
it was fine. It was, you know, I went surfing, you know, went to the gym. I always tried to stay healthy because I knew that, you know, if I'm not healthy, then, you know, I'm not going to be doing much in life, you know, and I cared about that. And regardless, so, you know, I lived pretty cheap. So I didn't really make a lot of money.
What were you doing to make
money? I've done like worked at a grocery store to.
Can you imagine Toby stacking milk?
Gosh, yeah. In Australia, I did that for like 6 or 9 months. That was the worst job of my life.
What else did you do?
Milk presentation.
Prezzo.
Oh. Okay, so then I was a preschool teacher as well. Did lifeguarding. I did valet, so in other words, parking cars for rich people or not so rich people. And then Uber and Lyft.
Okay, what was your favorite?
I think driving nice cars at a fancy restaurant. That was pretty sweet, but also Lyft. It kind of helped me with like talking to people. Okay. Uber and Lyft, and you know, I was like,
you're pretty early on Uber.
Yeah, I was like one of the first people on Uber and Lyft. Yeah, which is.
We'll have to think of like other things that you happen to be early on. Yeah, Uber one.
Yeah.
Bitcoin another.
But then also, you know, I did trading as well, like with stocks and gold and silver, and so I learned about, you know, the Federal Reserve pretty early on. And then I learned about
because of gold
and silver. Yeah, I learned a more like deeper history on gold and silver, and learned about the founding fathers, how they wanted, you know, to back currencies by gold and silver. And so what we have now is actually illegal. It's anti-constitutional with having fiat. But yeah, of course they don't care about it. But with that said, you know, it got me interested in like, okay, if I can't trust the government with my money, how am I going to trust the government with anything else? And then my father died of cancer. Then I realized, oh my gosh, that all the doctors, they told him, okay, the only choice you have is this little tiny box called surgery, chemo, or radiation. And he died. You know, it was like I saw the strongest guy in my life die. And that really did me in. And I was pissed when I learned about the American Medical Association, learned about Rockefeller medicine and all that stuff.
Petroleum.
I was livid. And then, so if you know, on Twitter and YouTube or whatever, I seem pretty harsh about governments. It's because like I have a passion to bring these freaking creeps down, you know, and educate as many people as I can. I don't care if I get crap for it. The more people, you know, bash me, the more fire that brings me. And so
why is that?
I don't know. I think it's the way I was, brought up, in high school, and like was picked on so much. And like, I just realized I'm just going to be an outcast. I don't care, and I'm going to do what makes me happy. And I don't care about, trying to appease to be popular or whatever. And so it brought me to this. Essentially, I learned about through Gold and Silver. I learned this guy named Brother John F., who was one of the, I think he was the very first Bitcoin YouTube channel. Probably nobody's heard of him.
Yeah,
that's fine. And he's like talked about Bitcoin, I think back in 2011 or something. And I saw it, but I never decided to look into it much until 2012. And I read the white paper, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like, I can send money to anyone on earth without like telling anyone. This is amazing, because think about it this way. I was in stocks, and so during the crypto, there were crypto markets like BTC-E and all these Cryptsy, unfortunately, but I saw these markets
in 2012. No, I don't think Coinbase is around just yet.
No, but I think BTC-E was. And so like I could send my coins from one wallet on one exchange, which I created a fake email address and everything, to another one that I created a fake email within like 10 minutes. There was no KYC.
Yeah, you just do bank transfer into your account. Yeah, that was
no banking. No bank.
How did you get your crypto?
Oh, I think I forgot how I actually did that. I forgot how I got.
In that point, it really was magical internet money.
No. I forgot how I did that. It was either like, is it PayPal?
Oh, PayPal maybe.
Yeah. But
probably.
But trading back and forth.
Yeah.
And I'm like thinking, wow, I used to be in stocks. So if you wanted to set up like a Charles Schwab account, and then you wanted to set up an E-Trade account, if you needed to send your coins, your tokens or whatever, your stocks
certificates,
it's from one to another. Oh my gosh, the headache. And then when I could do this seamlessly with no KYC, I'm like, this is going to change the world. How is nobody on this right now?
You're like, tokenization. Oh, got it.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, totally understood. I was just an evangelist right away. Like, wow, this is amazing. It kicks government out of my life. Like, this is great.
Well, and one major part
of it. One, like the money part. This is fantastic, And then, so I started understanding Bitcoin more and more. I didn't understand the rest. I didn't understand why you needed the other ones other than like Litecoin, I guess. I remember that thing was like 25 cents. Oh my gosh. Those are the days. Anyway, so with that said, I just started, accumulating. I started like working more hours, moved out of my house, lived on a floor with a bachelor pad with my other friend, like sleeping on the other side of the room. He was such a loud snorer. And we were like right under like an airport, like a flight path. Oh my gosh, it was so loud. So I had to go to bed like kind of early, but I was working 17 to 8 hours a day, 7 days a week to try to save up as much as I can for Bitcoin. And I'd wake up so early from these stupid plans. And then I just like, okay, get on my app and just work. And then, that was kind of my life. So, and then my family and friends were just like, you guys are just like, you're crazy. What are you doing? You're wasting all your time on this stuff. Like, why do you keep talking about this? Why don't you just get a regular job? I'm like, no, because I'm never going to retire if I have a regular job. Like, this is so stupid. I can just imagine
how crazy you sounded to them. Because like no one was talking about it. Nuts. Not a single person in the mainstream or anything. Probably even if you try to Google Bitcoin, like what would come up?
Nothing.
Probably not much.
And then I go on like dates and stuff, like before I met you, obviously. And I would tell that's what I wanted to talk about. I'm like, you don't understand how cool this is.
I remember our first date, Toby. I remember what you wanted to talk about.
Exactly. So I'm like, wow, this is.
You wanted to talk to me about the Russian ruble, and I was like, what's that?
Yeah, and Bitcoin as well. And so
you're warming me up.
That was a fun time. Those were the days where you didn't have politicians, raving about it. You had like hardcore people involved in this space. The true hardcore people
who knew what a cypherpunk was.
Exactly.
That knew why self-custody was important and why it was created in the first place.
I mean, this is before like even Ledger. So I was keeping my coins on like a paper wallet.
Yeah.
I was
I
using
remember
paper
those.
wallets.
We used to have those printouts with like the private and publicly in the QR code.
And I had to turn off my Wi-Fi and like
yeah,
squiggle the thing.
yeah.
Or was it Bitcoin.org or something like that? Or
I forget the website.
So
yeah,
fun.
To like randomize it.
And I'm making my friends this,
So
and we like, you know, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
Those were the best days of crypto.
Yeah.
Those days are long gone. Now you got the kind of boring like banker vans out there. But.
So like what was your first moment where like you saw success with Bitcoin, or like it affirmed itself in your life? Like what happened with Bitcoin? You're like, okay, I'm on the right track. Let's keep going with this.
I knew it was on the right track. Okay. Regardless,
because it was independent
there's
money.
Nothing like I said, when I was looking at those different markets, I'm going,
so it wasn't a bull market that did it for you?
No.
Okay.
I was before
You're hardcore from the start.
From the very start, I knew I was on the right track. I was 100% sure. And I was 99% sure, because part of me is
there are no guarantees in crypto.
It's like, oh boy, like if this is not the right way, then I've really screwed myself, because
you're still relatively young.
Sure. Okay. I could make it up, but like, oh, man, the embarrassment. But my family's like, okay, I told you so. But yeah, so that's kind of what happened. And
so we are recording. Oh, me.
Yeah. Let's hear about you.
Oh, little old me.
Yeah.
Little old Indiana.
Yeah.
I was a completely clean slate.
Yeah. She was working at her dad's
Midwest
sign shop.
Through and through. What's that Tom Petty song? She's an Indiana girl. Raised in the Indiana Nights.
I haven't heard that one.
So
tell us about
that one. Yeah, I grew up like you, having lots of different types of jobs, not necessarily high paying ones. I worked at like Dick's Sporting Goods, and I was also doing the prezos at Bed Bath & Beyond. Whereas in the U.S.
probably better than Sack and Milk.
What do we call it?
Your front end presentation.
I forget what they called it. Anyway,
right.
It's been
Nobody
too long.
Cares.
Nobody does care. I worked at a golf course before. That was fun. Yeah. And at a pizza place, my dad's sign shop, of course, screen printing signs for local politicians. Yeah.
So she's not a trust fund. She's
definitely not.
She worked her butt off at a sign shop.
I mean, yeah, like I could have done really well in school. I did do well in school, but as I got older, I got more and more bored. Like I wasn't inspired. And I remember going into college, like my mom and my aunt were both nurses. So I was kind of pushed towards nursing. Yeah. And I just knew in my heart that wasn't right for me. Like I hated hospitals. I enjoy caring for people, but like that just, no, thank you. Sure. But I also really enjoyed writing. So I studied English and really liked that, but I didn't know what I was going to do with that. So I actually didn't even end up graduating. I left with like at Purdue, I learned really well English and grammar and that. So again, didn't know what I was going to do with that. And then just kind of went back to my dad's sign shop and like didn't have like a clear path for the future. And that's when I met Toby. And Toby, like I said, on literally the first time we were hanging out, he's like talking about the Russian ruble. And like for me, from Indiana, not a financial background at all, no financial literacy. I was like, that's cool. I don't know what this guy's going on about. I think he's really cute though.
And the riots in Greece.
Yeah, you're talking about riots in Greece and traveling. I was always interested in traveling. Yeah. I grew up with my grandma, had all these National Geographics, so I was always really interested in seeing these foreign places. And Toby's talking to me about, hey, I'm going to go to Portugal in a month. You should consider coming with me. And I'm like, you're crazy. I just met you like 24 hours ago. And I think that Toby probably put that out for a lot of people in his life. No. And like, I'm the one that You're actually went.
You're the first one.
But that was kind of me. I was like a blank slate. I didn't have anything tying me down. And so, yeah, it was a really clean slate going. I booked my flight to Portugal at a great price. I couldn't have afforded it if it was expensive. I think it was like $300 for a round trip ticket.
That's crazy.
That was amazing. Yeah. So
it's a taxi ride to Chicago Airport.
Yeah. I bought that ticket before I even had my passport in hand because like most Americans, they don't have passports.
Yeah.
I didn't have any international plans or means to even afford that. So yeah, had really small amount of savings and went on a whim, met Toby in Portugal, hang out in a foreign land for 3 months with this guy who's like trying to tell me what Bitcoin is. And I remember I was like, how can there be a money that exists without a government issuing it?
Just pause it. Should you be looking at the...
No.
Okay.
I'm looking at you.
Oh, to me. Okay.
You're looking at me?
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. How can there be a currency that exists without a government backing it? So that was like, you were like definitely planting seeds for me. And for me, my motivation for learning about it was, first of all, I mean, you're the motivation for a lot of things of why my life went in the directions that it has, because you being very strong-willed, you're like, hey, I like to travel. I surf. And I don't see myself, no offense, living in Indiana. So you should try to find a way to make money online. So I tried to do like natural health and beauty blog. And then we found Steam It. And that was kind of I was at that point familiar with crypto. I remember like you used to send me on these little like scavenger hunts of like learning about cryptocurrencies. You're like, hey, tell me how I can buy XRP.
XRP, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is before it was on an exchange.
I know. You're like, and I researched, I was like, you have to get a banker's check or whatever and mail it to them.
Yeah.
So you're like,
to
okay,
Ripple
I
Labs.
did. Yeah, so you did. So that was like, again, like little seeds you're planting. And so I found, again, I liked writing. I started traveling. I love to do photography. So like on Steam It, I started doing like a travel blog. And I remember I got real popular there. And for a while, I didn't believe it was really the real value until I made the first trade of Steam to Bitcoin. And I was like, oh, okay, it's on. Let's start blogging.
What price was Bitcoin back then?
The first time I bought this was before Steam It, but the first price I bought Bitcoin was like $230. Yeah. And so I was basically using my entire paycheck from the pizza place to buy Bitcoin. And I was like, whatever, this week I'll live off my tips. I mean, or whatever. Like I'll just, on everything I can, I'm going into Bitcoin. And then Steam It was really like accruing a savings that I never thought I'd ever have. Yeah. So that helped so much. And then that was like in 2016 or 2015 when I was like first buying Bitcoin. 2016 was Steam It. And then just kind of hanging out. And then 2017 started ramping up.
Holy cow.
End of 2017, we're like, wow. So for me, like, coming from my background, like you had experience in trading. You had experience in bull markets and bear markets. And like, I was just a sponge for adventure in life. And that's what you kind of brought to me, like on a silver platter with traveling and then with crypto, like to facilitate that.
Yeah.
So yeah. Regardless, needless to say, I totally fell in love with the whole lifestyle with Toby. Yeah. A lot of different reasons to fall in love with Toby. But so my life changed a lot very quickly for a lot of different reasons, for traveling, for you, and for Bitcoin investments and stuff. And that whole way of life has really shaped how we've decided our life would go from there on out. Because now it's 10 years later. And we just had our 8-year wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
Which was nice.
Thanks for reminding me.
You're welcome. Yeah. That's fine. I only remember because I had the reminder on my phone.
She really did have a reminder. We honestly don't really care too much about this stuff.
That's not the important thing.
We don't.
It's the everyday that's important.
I'll say happy Valentine's Day to her. She's like, oh, please no.
Please don't. It's
Come
okay.
On. Yeah, so every day is like a great day with Heidi pretty much.
Aw.
Yeah.
Remember that you said that. Yeah. Okay, so now we're recording this on April 15th. Yeah. And speaking of the trajectory of our life and the decisions we've made based on what Bitcoin has kind of allowed us to have our life be like, but also like the values that we've learned through learning about Bitcoin. We decided that renouncing was was the next step for us because we never really wanted to live abroad. We wanted to interact as freely as possible in crypto. We always wanted to live abroad. Yeah. Investing abroad, banking abroad, it's very difficult as a U.S. citizen. Abroad, yeah. So it's a very permanent. We've done a lot of videos on renouncements. So you guys, if you want to learn more, feel free to check those out. But yeah, so renouncement was a big decision for us. Yeah. And any regrets?
None. It's
I agree.
Just like really amazing, especially like we just recently had a expenditure, and one of the things with that government was like, what, are you?
The first question they asked.
First question, and I needed to bring a certificate of renouncement. Yep. Thank goodness I remembered that. And they're like, okay, we're gonna have a week before you're qualified, so that to verify that you are not a U.S. citizen. And if you are, it's over. Yeah. And so we're like, okay, fine. I'm like, geez, wow, that was harsh. Like, wow, these people really don't want to deal with U.S. citizen, which is so unfortunate, because like how the U.S. started, like, it was like the go-getter. It was the place where the most freedom was. And it's just like, wow, it's like that whole thing of weak men create hard times. And it's just saturated. Yeah. It's unfortunate.
I mean, it might be true business-wise in the U.S. that there's a lot of freedom in that anyone can create a business, that there's, some semblance of the American dream still alive in the U.S. But I don't think Americans really understand.
Export. No.
It's true. I don't think a lot of Americans understand the limitations that their government creates for them if they're trying to live outside of the U.S. Yeah. So it does, I think, encourage a lot of Americans to stay within their borders. But living overseas, I'm curious, not just about crypto and stuff and like banking and that stuff, but like, what are the little things that you noticed when we were in Portugal, for example? Like, Portugal is our home base for the most part.
I mean, for half the year.
For half the year. So like, is there anything that like you miss about the U.S. or you miss about your old life in Portugal? Or is there anything important, vice versa? I'll let you answer that first.
I mean, other than my mother, I got to see every week.
Yeah.
A bit. She comes and visits, so that's great. Yeah. And then she loves coming and visit. As far as anything else, like, I mean, fast Amazon stuff, but but as
Baja
far as
Fresh.
Like, yeah, Baja Fresh. That was like during that was pretty good.
What's another one?
Chipotle.
Chipotle.
No,
Chipotle.
That was like, it used to be like really organic, I think, and then it just turned into.
Oh, really?
I don't know if it's still the same.
Well, hey, that's the benefit of living in Europe.
By McDonald's.
Yeah, but Europe's got different
sure, yeah,
requirements for food. So
what's great, I mean, I honestly, like, I mean, other than Hawaii, like, it'd be cool to like stay in Hawaii for a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
But other than that, no, there's nothing really. Like, it's just like, for instance, today is April 15th. It's tax day.
Yeah.
And I get to chill.
Yeah.
I don't owe anything. Like,
yeah.
Well,
I mean, we report taxes like with crypto and stuff, but it's tax free because it's in Portugal.
Yeah, in Portugal. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just different.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah. So that's amazing.
It's different not living under the domain of the IRS.
Sure. But, beyond the IRS and taxes, that's fine. Like, you can always, even if you want to stay a U.S. citizen, you can find ways to decrease your taxes or whatever.
Yeah, legally, of course.
But one thing that like really scared me, especially once I started learning about how, what the government actually does, like behind the scenes, not what the media tells you, is that, I'm in a country that's full of people that really like either love one side of the government or the other side of the government.
Yeah. And they think that there's a difference.
Super scary. That's super scary. And they're hyper aggressive.
Because it's volatile.
And it's a hyper aggressive country, which means, like, oh, they bombed you. Let's bomb them. Ah. I'm not into that. As a Christian, I love your enemies. Do go to those who persecute you, like
absolutely
things like that. Like that really like scares me. And I understand because my grandparents, they fled Germany. And I'm not saying the U.S. is like Germany. but there are some similarities. People that really like, it's almost a cult. Politics is kind of a cult in the United States. I mean, just look at a what do you call it, a Trump rally or whatever like that. It's kind of cultish. You guys
on both sides.
Like, give me a break. If you can't see that, then you're maybe in a cult. So with that said, that was one of the scariest parts, and I knew that would never change because it's so ingrained in their culture to.
There's no room for dialogue between the parties. People really want to know what you think on this particular issue, and then you're in that group, and then you're enemies.
And most of the issues that are being brought up are just minuscule. They're just symptoms.
True. That's true.
They're symptomatic, like I'm not even gonna get into all that stuff, but they
quite a few rabbit
usually
holes.
don't talk about the Federal Reserve.
Exactly. The real source.
Even Elon Musk or the Trump, they're not going to talk about the Federal Reserve or ending the Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
Obviously not.
They can't bring attention to that.
Puppets. Yeah. So, and the whole Epstein thing that came up as well, which is like kind of crazy. So that came out later, and it's just like, wow, I'm really glad I don't have to pay a bunch of people that are involved with that type of stuff. And that's nice. And also, living overseas, it's easy to start businesses. It's much easier to start businesses. You don't have to worry about FATCA reporting standards. You don't have to worry about the bank hating you, or not hating you, but like not wanting your business because the fines that they could get and accrue on themselves is probably more than the amount of money that you yourself as a U.S. citizen
that they're going to earn from you as a customer.
Exactly. Like they don't want to deal with it. I totally understand that. I mean, and to the point of like, well, we need a week before approving you for a certain bank account or whatever. It's like, oh, wow, that was pretty harsh. But I'm like, okay, well, they have a reason for that. And so, I'm very, very, very thankful that I renounced. And, but a lot of people are like, oh, you fled or you're a traitor.
We made a decision for our lives that we thought long and hard about. And we stand by it.
Yeah, exactly. I have one life.
I would hope that anyone does that. Yeah. That you seriously consider your life situation and you make decisions that you need to make to better your future.
Exactly.
I hope everyone does that. It's different for everyone.
Exactly.
But I hope that everyone contemplates that.
Yeah.
Okay. So living overseas. The reason why we went to Portugal, the reason why you told little old Heidi, I'm going to Portugal in the month, January 2015. Because Toby's a big wave surfer, guys.
Yep. Okay.
Really big. Nazare. Okay. So we get it sometimes in the comments and on Twitter, especially because you share a lot of surfing stuff on Twitter.
Some
Sir Crypto Tips on Twitter if you're not following.
Sure.
Already. Some parallels of the volatile crypto market and big wave surfing.
Okay.
Because you have to have a special kind of mindset to survive a big wave, let alone want to continue to pursue it over and over again, often knowing you're going to have horrible wipeouts. So what are like some judgment calls that you make in surfing that help you with crypto? Because for you, big wave surfing came first, far before anything crypto. You've been big wave surfing for, am I going to give away your age? Over 20 years.
30 years.
30 years?
Yeah.
That's giving away your age a little bit.
I
but
feel
it's
young
amazing. You do. You look
I take
amazing.
care of myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what are some judgment calls for you over the years with big wave surfing that have helped you with your crypto investing?
I mean, learning about so in Nazare, it's a very crazy ocean. It's the craziest piece of ocean on the face of the planet. You can just imagine, those ships that go through that you've probably seen on the Bering Sea. Yeah, on the Bering Sea or whatever. They're just going like this or whatever. It's that. That's what I'm experiencing. That's what I'm at in. But I'm surfing these things. They're 80 foot. Some of them are 80 foot. Some of them are bigger. I've never caught I've never caught anything bigger than probably 80 foot. But so that's
not yet.
So I'm just waiting for that one. So it's really chaotic. So you need to make good judgment calls, which means you need to have the best jet ski driver. So in other words, we need a jet ski driver to get us into these waves because it's impossible to physically
Paddle.
use your arms to get into a wave that's moving so fast through the water, because the larger the wave is, the faster it goes. And the smaller it is, like, that's why you can catch a smaller wave, because it doesn't move that fast.
Yeah, you just go ding, ding.
Yeah, it's easy. So, but like when it's 80 foot or whatever, it's really fast. Like we're on a jet ski going very fast through the water. I'm barely holding on. We have a rope tied to the jet ski, so I'm going as like almost.
You're standing on your surfboard.
Yeah, we're going like 50 kilometers, 60 kilometers an hour or whatever. And then, you let go of the rope. You yank into it, and then you fly down the face of it like a huge one. Yeah. And so like we have the best ski driver. We have the best ski that you can get. We have
good rescue sled.
Great rescue sled that we trust, that we've, oiled, like we've maintained the ski and all that stuff. And we train all the time, even in smaller surf. Because if you can drive a ski at Nazare on a small day, you can probably drive it on a bigger day as well. That's what a lot of people probably wouldn't know that. But the same thing is with crypto. It's like, okay, there's such volatile markets. So why not understand the crypto market a little bit? Understand why Bitcoin was created. Okay, so you have a semi-decentralized money that's permissionless.
It's not nothing is perfectly decentralized. Okay, that's why you're saying semi.
Yeah. And you can send it to anyone on earth, regardless of who they are.
It's got one heck of a use case.
Yeah, and I can send it for like hardly anything. So with that said, Bitcoin, that's my main coin that I'm going to hold, because there's really nothing better than that.
So that's like your toe partner. It's choosing your toe partner is choosing the coin.
Exactly.
That you're
so in. I can rest.
I like that.
I have trust in my partner that he's going to come save my butt when the time comes. CBDCs.
I love that.
Exactly.
Toby. Yeah.
So good. And with that said, I also have a big vest as well.
And that's your self-custody.
That's my self-custody. That is my hardware wallet. And I make sure that I'm always sure it's all strapped, make sure it's I have my friend check it over for me to make sure it's on tight.
Yeah, oftentimes they do it for you.
Exactly. I want to make sure it's on tight. So it's not going to fall off, because if it falls off on an 80-foot wave, I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm going to be liquidated for big time, like in a very serious way, or thrown into the rocks or whatever. So yeah, so things like that. And here we go. So on the inside of Nazare, so you have where all the waves break, and then you say, for instance, like I fall or my friend falls, and I have to drive a ski to come and save his life.
The impact zone, a really high risk,
very high
mentally what do you call it?
Exhausting.
Yeah, mentally exhausting time. You have to constantly be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah.
And be a skilled driver to navigate it.
Yeah. So
what is that?
So that's the volatility in the crypto market, because
that's the 35% drop during a bull market.
Or 55% like last time.
Yeah. You just got the wave of your life.
Exactly.
That was like riding the high, and then you got a dip, and then you got the wipe out.
I'm gonna die now.
Yeah.
And then you have
to. And then you remember that you have a really good ski.
Yeah.
That is Bitcoin.
Exactly. But you've trained your whole life.
And you have experience.
Now, here's the thing. Is that, say there's like 5 layers of white water coming at you.
Yeah.
You have to look at the first one. Don't worry about what's out there.
So don't zoom out.
Well, you have to focus a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. So you need to like realize that there's so much chaos out there. You have to focus on
what you can control.
Yeah, exactly. Which is the thing right in front of you, the first layer of whitewash. Then once you bash through that, because with a jet ski,
maybe we can include some footage.
Yeah, maybe
right now.
Include some
magical
footage.
Editors.
Then your focus should be on the next one.
Yeah.
But you have to make sure that you're looking all around to make sure that there's not a wave coming from the side.
Yeah, because
Nazare or whatever.
Yeah, that's what makes Nazare crazy.
Chaotic. But if you can calm your mind. You're gonna be fine. A lot of the guys, if you see them at Nazare, I would say 90% of the time, the ones that are flipping their skis, they're not paying attention. They're rushed. They're in a contest. They're struggling with money. They're trying to get their sponsors to give them money, and they're stressed out of their mind. And number 4, they might
just new.
They might be new, exactly, because there's a lot of new people out there trying to like, make it
get their
be
famous
or whatever,
which
is so stupid. Like I don't go there to try to be famous. I actually
You're just a crazy guy
surfing.
Who loves Bitcoin.
Yeah, like come on, that's what my team is. I'm the only pretty much the only one that's consistently surfed there.
Yeah.
That isn't sponsored. I refuse to be sponsored because I don't want to be pressured by some other company that I don't own. To
make money for them,
to make money
risk
for them?
your life for someone else to make. Exactly.
My self-worth is much more.
What they get paid in sponsorships pales in comparison to what that company is. Yeah,
exactly.
So it's just
so.
But also, I was gonna say, like when you said keep a calm mind in surfing, you get that through experience. You get that through surviving the wipeouts because there's breath holding techniques you can do.
Yeah,
which is fine. It does give you a level of.
Oh yeah.
It does give you a level of confidence knowing that, okay, I can hold my breath for 2 minutes. It's very unlikely you're actually going to be underwater for 2 minutes, but just knowing that gives you some confidence. But mostly it's knowing that once the worst wipeout is your first wipeout, big wipeout, because after that you're like, oh, okay, that's what that is.
Yeah.
I've survived. I still want to go again.
It's a bear market.
If you want to go again. And it's the same in the bear market for crypto. It's like the more times you go through the crazy volatile moments of the top and also the bear market, the more immune you get to the emotional part of that.
Yeah.
And with literally your body, if you're stressed, if you're panicked mentally, you're going to go through a lot more oxygen in your lungs, and you're not if you're panicked, you're probably gonna pass out. Your likelihood of survival drops because you're panicking. Exactly. And it's the same in crypto. If you're panicking and you're emotionally making your investment decisions, you're gonna lose money. Yeah. So would rather lose money than lose your life. So anyway. I for one am very glad that you have experience and you're confident and you know what you're doing in surfing.
And I work out, I
yes,
eat.
You take it very seriously. You're a foodie.
I'm very strict with my diet.
Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah, that's good. And I get lots of sleep and I don't have a lot of stress.
Yes.
So, and picking the right partner is a great thing. If your wife is stressing you out, girlfriend's stressing you out, like you're always constantly arguing, like, like if it's girlfriend, then see you later, or boyfriend, whatever.
Yeah.
Get rid of them. Like, find somebody that's going to fit your personality and that will, especially if you're a dude, like be a leader. Like that's one thing like a lot of guys don't understand. So you're
women too. I think a lot of women are in denial that they want to be led.
Sure. Yeah. That's fine. Thing. Let them believe what they're going to believe. But the reality is, guys, like if you're not, trying to be a leader, and that's how your wife looks at you or girlfriend looks at you. If you're not leading that relationship, then it's going to suck. It's going to suck.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I mean, it's also similarly, it's up to the woman to choose a good man who she trusts to lead her.
Yeah. Sometimes they can go down the wrong hole too. So.
But that's why, like if we're going to get into this topic of like the male and female scenario of like a relationship, the masculine and feminine, it's like a lot of women are like, oh, so like, what if you get caught up in like an abusive relationship or something? Well, yeah, that was, I think, good to end it with the surfing thing. So
okay, yeah,
maybe don't get into that rant.
Yeah, for sure.
So you can wrap it up with like your partner choice or whatever.
So with that said, like that's how if you follow me on Twitter or YouTube, you'll understand that I kind of get it. Like I don't care whether the price drops 30%, 40%. I just don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I have a longer term mindset, and so like big wave surfing, I don't care if I fall. Like, okay, that's good. It strengthened me. It's fine. And when I train on the smaller days, I'm training for the bigger days. You know what I mean? So that would be very similar to like, okay, shoot, the smaller days would be a chaotic, like a market that is training you. I don't know. Maybe I'll end it with like this.
Okay.
So with that said, I think that it's really important to have a calm mindset, regardless of whether you're trading or doing an extreme sport like mine. Yeah. It's very similar. And if you can control your fear and you can control your emotions, you got to learn to really take your emotions out of it, because it just kind of harms you.
Yeah.
Either way. That's why, like, I'm on Twitter or whatever. I don't care whether the price drops 30%, 40%.
And you don't care if it's a popular opinion or not.
I couldn't care less. Yeah. I really, like I said,
because you went through it all.
I thrive during, people like, oh, you're an idiot or whatever.
It's
like,
almost like confirmation
on, like,
that you're ahead of the crowd, and that's where you want to be.
I would say I'm 5 steps ahead of the crypto crowd for the most part.
Yeah.
Especially what I saw over the past like 10 months or a year with the ETFs, with the Bitcoin strategic reserve and all that. Like, I mean, it's an easy, this is the easiest time to be an OG in terms of like where
it's
this
very
space
obvious,
is going to be heading.
where it's heading, yeah, and what's important,
exactly,
because that's never changed. The fundamentals of why Bitcoin was created has never changed.
Exactly, yeah.
It's just become all the more apparent why it was and why that was important.
Yeah.
If you guys want to get exposure to people who've had over a decade experience in crypto and can keep a clear mind and know how to hedge in every scenario, you got to check out learningcrypto.com. It's our website. Yeah. We have a great community of people who are on all different levels of their crypto journey, beginners, advanced people as well, that are just wanting to be a part of it. And just because community is so huge in crypto. So that's what we were trying to build here on our channel and with learningcrypto.com as well. Check out Toby on Twitter, Sir Crypto Tips. Mine is Blockchain Chick, and our official Twitter is Crypto Tips Real. Check that one out on Twitter as well. Super. Yeah. I hate my Twitter name.
I know you do. I know. Yeah.
So lame.
Yeah.
Anyways,
you
that's
could have had anything back then.
I know. Hey, we got Crypto Tips as a YouTube channel.
We did.
That's a win.
All right.
Okay. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Like and subscribe.
Of course.
Okay. See you.